Hello, my name is Simon and welcome to another video tutorial. So today we'll be looking at how to manage states using rxjs on Ionic Angular. Alright, so I just created like a basic Ionic app. If you check, this is the project. You can see. If you look at the folders, you see I haven't touched anything yet. I just created the project with the side menu and run it up, and you can see it's running. It has the side menu. So all right, let's get started. Okay, so for this I'm going to use a component. I don't want to use page because page is a little bit complex, so for simplicity I'm going to use a component. All right, so let me open a new terminal. So the first thing I would do is to generate like a new component. You know, ng also work, Ionic command also work, but I will use ng generate components, component. Let me put this in a page folder, pages slash, let me call this page 1. All right, okay, it feels okay. All right, let me use the Ionic command, Ionic generate components, and put it in pages folder and call it page 1. Right, that was successful. So you can see the component has been generated. All right, so let me go to app module, the main module itself. So in the declaration I want to import the page 1 component here. It has been imported. Okay, so I need to generate like 3 more. I want 3 pages. This is page 3 and page 2. Okay, all right, so I need to import them here under declaration. So I will say page 2 component and page 3 component. All right, so the next thing to do is, I think I want to show this page by default. All right, so what I'll do, I will go to the app routing module, then I'm going to add like a comma here and create my own path. So my path should be, I'll call this page 1, then the component should be the page 1 component. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing for the rest 2 pages. Alright, so this will be page 2 and page 2 component, and for the last one, which is page 3 component. So now I want to redirect the landing page to page 1. Okay, let me save this. See, okay, it's still there, but let me just go to the home, which is localhost. Okay, right, let me see. It seems I'm missing something. Okay, yes, this should be page 1. Okay, so I have saved. Let me change my console. Yes. All right, good. So let me refresh this. Okay, this is page 1, and if I try page 2, it's supposed to work. Page 2 and page 3. All right, that works. Okay, so let me go back to my default page, which is the page 1. All right, so for this, let me copy the header so that it will look good. Let me go to the folder page.html. So I'm going to copy this elder, and then I'm going to duplicate this button into 3. So the first one will be go to page 1. Alright, why the bottom one will be go to page 2, and the last one will be go to page 3. I think I also need to give them color, so I'll give this warning, and I'm going to give this the color of what? Success. I'm going to give this one the color called primary. So let me save and see how it looks. All right, okay, I think we need some padding here. Okay, so I think let me just use the same color. Kind of ugly. We'll use the same color. Okay, and add some class. Should be ion dash margin. Okay, then okay, I think let me see how it looks now. Right, good. Okay, I think this H1 is too big. Let me just use, in fact, this card I dash card dash full. Okay, this is kind of better. So the card should have a color of what? Light, and the title should be page 1, and it should be page 1. So let me save and see how it looks. Okay, all right, this look professional now. Okay, sorry, the side menu, we don't need the side menu. Let me remove it from the header. All right, because it still goes nowhere. Okay, so we need to duplicate this in all of our pages, but let me add the router link that will take us to my page 2. So for this, I'll do router link. Let me remove this active. So this should take me to page what? 1. Page 1. I'm going to copy this and put it in the next button, which should take the user to page 2. Do the same thing for the last button, and it should take the user to page 2. So let me save and click on this button. Okay, yes, this goes to page 2, and if you click this, it goes to page 3. All right, so because we are already in page 1, we don't need to, it won't take us anywhere, right? So let me correct this text, which is page 1. All right, so let me save and copy everything and put it in both page 2. Page 2. Then all we need to do is to replace this title here to page 2. This page 2 and page 2. Okay, we'll do same thing for page 3. Page 3, I'm going to save. Then all I need to do here is to change it to page 3, and page 3. Okay, so I'm going to save. All right, so this is page 1. If you click on page 1, it takes you nowhere. Click on page 2, it takes you to page 2, and you can go back to page 1 by clicking this button. You can click on page 3 and it takes you to page 3. All right, so let me go back to page 1, and this is where the implementation of the rxjs will start. So if we check our package.json, we're looking for rxjs, so you can see it's already installed for us. All right, so for that I need to create a service. So let me generate a service. So Ionic generate service. In the service folder, call this store. Alright, so the service has been generated successfully. Then I am going to the app.module, the central one. I want to import the service. So under the provider array, then at the end here I want to import the service, so I'll call it store service. Okay, it has been imported. Okay, I'm going to save, and you can see everything is still fine. So in the store service, I want to import rxjs. Okay, but however I think auto import will be possible, so I'm going to declare a variable called my counter. My counter will be a new behavior subject, of what? Number, and it should be 0. Okay, so I'm going to create like a setter and getter for this number. So I'm going to do public a public method. So this public method, what we do is going to set the value of my counter. Okay, so what this will do is going to set the value of my counter. So this let me just do set counter here. Let me call it set counter, and it should take a number, right? So this should also be a number. This should return void. This should return what? Void. Okay. All right, so what this will do is we're going to call this my counter next. So this is going to send a signal to everyone actually subscribing to these observables. All right, so there's going to be another method, another public method. So what this will do is get the current value of my counter. So this will be get counter. And what this will return is an observable of number. Okay, so this should return what? This dot my counter. Alright, so that is all. We only have two methods, setter and getter. Set counter and get counter. Alright, so let me go to our page 1 component. In our page 1 component, in a constructor, I want to create an instance of the store service. So I'm going to create my instance, which is store service of store service. Okay, so I also declare a variable here called counter. I can even set it to 0. Okay, So in the on needs, I want to subscribe to our getter. Alright, so I'll call store service dot get counter, right, dot get counter dot subscribe to count. So I'm gonna do this dot counter equals to what? The incoming count. Right. So I'm taking this counter now to the template. I want to display the value. Okay. So under the list, so let me look at my browser and see the good position. Okay, page 1. I think let me put it beside the page 1. This, I think it should be this. Let me change this to be sure. Let me just change this to be sure. Okay, yes, it's there. Okay, so what I will do is, to paste my counter. Alright, so if I save and look at it now, it should be 0. Yes, it's 0. So I need some extra button at the bottom to increment and decrement this counter. So under the list, I will create an item. No, sorry about that. Should be an item. Okay. So I'll add some small button. Let me remove this. And so I'll call this minus. Then what I will do is to duplicate this button and call this plus. Let me remove this function and see how it looks first. Go to save. Okay, alright. So another thing, I think it's kind of small. I think it's too small. So let me just do size. Size is equal to what? Large. Change the color of this card. Color to be light. And what the size is equal to what? Large. Let's save and look how it is. Okay, it is kind of big now. I think I can put this in the end too. Slot is equals to end. Save. You can see the button has moved to the end. Addition button are always kind of like success, and the negative button are always like danger. So alright, so I'm going to add like a function to this and this. So I'm going to call a method. I'm going to create a method rather. So this should be increment counter. Increment what? Counter. Alright. So what increment counter will do is increment counter is going to increment the value of the general counter. So I'm going to call the store service dot what? Set counter. What this does, it takes the current counter plus 1. Okay, then this will be decrement counter. Decrement what? Counter. So what this will also do is to decrement the value of counter by 1. So let me replace this. Let me use this for the method we've created. So this is decrement. So this should be like decrement counter, and this should be increment counter. Alright, so let me save and see what we get. So if I click on add, you can see I'm clicking on the plus, it's going up, and if I click on the minus, it's going down, right? So but if we go to our second page, you can see we don't have that kind of feature, so we need to replicate it on the page 2 and page 3. Okay, so all right. Okay, so what I'll do is to copy this part. Let us put it in page 2 first. For page 2, the card section, okay, put it here. We don't have counter here. Then put it in page 3 too. In page 3. Alright. So for page 2, you can see we have some missing methods. So we need to copy this method. So I'm going to copy what we have here. Let me close this bar. Copy the constructor and put it in page 2. Okay, so replace the constructor we have in page 2. Then import the store service. All right, so let me see. A parameter property is only allowed in a constructor. All right, I'm coming to this. So we need to copy the method first, the increment and decrement method. Okay, so in page 2, then we paste it here. Okay, so the next thing I would do, okay, sorry, I think I spelled this wrong, that's why. Constructor. Okay, so we are missing the counter variable here, which was equals to 0. All right, so I think we should be done with our page 2. No, we need to put this in the button. So one more thing to copy. Sorry, let me close this. I don't let me save this. Okay, save. All right, so in the page 1, there is where we are calling the function. So the plus and minus button in this earn item, let us copy that and put it in page 2, in page 2 HTML file. So under the list, I'm going to paste that. Okay, so for page 3, under the list, we're going to paste the same thing because we don't have this method in our TS file, so it's yelling at us. So we're going to go to page 2 and copy the constructor and the counter, right, for page 3. So and paste it here. Import the store service. Okay, so we need the missing method. So we're going to go to page 2 again and copy the missing method, which is increment counter and decrement counter. So we're going to the page 3 TS file and we'll paste it here. Alright, it looks like we are all good. Let me save and see what we'll get. Alright, so back to the browser. This is page 1. If I increment the counter by 2, you can see it should add one more, is 3. If I go to page 2, you can see the counter is 2 here. So if I increment, it doesn't work. Okay, let me go to page 3 and see. Okay, good. So let me check why it's not working. Let's go back to our code. Okay, the reason it's not working is because we haven't subscribed to the general counter in the ng on init. So if we go to our page 1, you can see on our on init we are actually subscribing to the counter here. So all what we need to do is to copy this and paste it in the on init of page 2. Okay, then do the same thing for page 3. I'm going to save and go back to the browser. So this is page 3. I'm going to increment here from page 3. You can see the counter is 5. So if I go back to page 1, you can see it's still 5. If I go to page 2, it still give me 5. I can also increment from page 5 and go back to page 1, is 10. Go back to page 2, decrement in page 2 and go to page 3, is still the same 7. You can see they all has the same value no matter where you increment this value. You can see it's still 8. Increment from here, go to page 2, decrement from here, which is 9. Go to page 1, decrement from here. All right, so that is all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. This is how to use rxjs to manage your state in Ionic Angular application. Thank you very much. I will see you in another video.